Hey guys, we're live. I'm Jeff with eBay Addicts. I'm running a few minutes late today. I'm actually at the football stadium where the Buccaneers play. So my special guest today is the Casual Flipper. What's going on, man? Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, my name's Chris. I'm the Casual Flipper. I'm a reseller on Amazon and eBay. I'm based out of Canada, Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. Specifically, it's pretty much as east or Atlantic as you can get. And today we're just kind of shooting the shit and seeing what's good. Hopefully, bringing lots of value.
Okay, awesome. I wanted to say hi to Joey Bada Bing is in the chat. He says, let's go. We got Red Dirt Picker is here. Joey says, where are you? I told you guys I'm at the NFL stadium with the Buccaneers. So that's what's going on. We got my man Profit Monsters is here. Drew, what's up? He says, let's go, Jeff. So thank you guys for coming by. So I was watching your channel recently, and it says that you're going to be moving soon, and you got to have like a new business partner. Talk to me a little bit about what's been going on in your world lately.
So when I first started this thing, it was obviously the Casual Flipper because it was kind of like I had the full-time job and I was doing it on the side. But as time's gone on, I've learned, progressed. So it's now more of it is full-time thing for me. And, I kind of plateaued a sense. And a good friend of mine, very business savvy, has some different connections, different positive traits. Kind of linked up and thought it'd be a good idea to going on this business together. So he's entered. So we're 50-50 partners, and he brings a whole different element to it. And it's just been super growth since then. So we've got a bunch of new partners, new vendors, distributors, like building new relationships. So with that, I've had to actually, scale my business in the sense that where I am now, like this current house is in the city. I don't have a ton of space. We're working out of a pod in my driveway. It's 16 feet. It's not enough space. So I sold my house and I bought something outside of town a little bit, and it's got this huge double door garage. So it should be big enough for us to work out of until we need to really just get into a warehouse. But our whole business model is just keeping expenses absolutely as low as possible. And moving allowed me to tap into some equity of my home, plus get that huge warehouse that could really, really help us kind of just get to that next level.
Okay, awesome. So you mainly sell on Amazon, is that correct? You talk a little bit about what platforms you sell on and how your business has been this past year?
Yeah, so when I very, very first got into reselling, it was eBay and Amazon. I was buying like return pallets and flipping them mostly on eBay and local marketplaces. But I really, somewhere along the line, I really gravitated towards the FBA model simply because the ability to scale it very quickly without having to invest in infrastructure for storing and stuff like that. So I primarily am selling used books. Now, if you want to be FBM or if you want to do eBay used books, very lucrative. It's a great thing to be in, but you're basically running a library in a sense. So you have to store. You have to have the infrastructure there, and you have to be extremely organized. So eBay didn't appeal to me in that sense. So I kind of really moved towards Amazon. But I do sell on eBay still. It's just not mass volumes. Like I sell hockey cards. I'm really into kind of the hockey card thing. And occasionally I'll go to online auctions, buy some stuff, and flip it on eBay. But primarily, like you did say, it is Amazon for sure.
Okay, yeah, I was watching your videos, and you said when you first got started, you had like no idea of where you were going to get products. Like you were like, where am I going to get these wholesale prices? Like how did you go ahead and get started? Like what first got you interested in reselling? And talk about how you got started and how your journey has been since you got started in reselling, because this is basically your full-time gig now, correct?
Yeah, totally is. Yeah, and the kind of just everyone else, like I kind of started it, and like I knew there was potential there, but I didn't know how extreme it was, I guess. And it all came down to having a real desire to want to do it. I enjoyed it, which was the key thing. So I had no idea. I had no idea. That's really only all. I had no idea how any of it worked. It was really just by doing it. Like I made a ton of mistakes. I've tried all kinds of different sourcing strategies. And the great thing, like you said, is that I've actually documented my journey right from day one. Like my very first video is just me in this room saying I'm going to do this, document it, and I've been doing it the whole time, which is really great, even just for my own personal selfishness, just to go back and kind of see where I was and where I've come. So I don't know exactly where my point was going with that. I kind of sidetracked myself, but yeah.
Okay, awesome. I just wanted to say hi to a few people in the chat because I might have missed somebody. We had Red Dirt Picker here. We had Joey Bada Bing. We have my buddy Drew from Profit Monsters was here. We have Thrifting After Work. And I think that's everybody. Joey asked me a question. He says, who is your favorite YouTuber that's not a reseller? Man, my favorite YouTuber that's not a reseller, that's easy, man. That would be Reyes the Entrepreneur. So if you guys didn't get a chance, I did a collab with Reyes the Entrepreneur maybe a month or so ago. So if you guys didn't get a chance to check out that video, it's in the community section on my YouTube page. And the video that we did together, I think it had like 27,000 views. So we were driving in my car, and my car broke down on the side of the highway. And Reyes is like, bro, I have to go to the bathroom. And I was like, dude, you got to go over there in the woods, bro. There's no bathroom on the highway. So that's easy. So anyways, man, so you said you have a pod in your driveway now, correct? As far as what you work out of. And so you live in Canada. So just let everybody know that you don't have to live in the United States to be a reseller. I mean, I had Sir Flipsalato on the other day. He was from Germany. I had Mel back from Burnout that lives in Australia. I've talked to people that live over in the UK, and you live all the way up in Canada. And that's essentially your full-time job is being a reseller. So, and Philly Picker is in the chat. So I wanted to say hi to Philly Picker. So, Tell me a little bit about how your business plan is, because you basically buy mainly books and items at wholesale prices and resell them for full sale retail prices. How exactly, if someone was books or buying merchandise, how do they go about getting like a big wholesale supplier to get this merchandise to resell?
Well, it's not super straightforward. So for all the people that are wanting to get in the the book game or reselling books, is a super great way to start your reselling journey, no matter which way you want to go, because the cost of goods is extremely low and the sales are there. So it's an easy way to kind of build up some capital if you want to move on to some other avenues. So that was kind of my primary way. So like book selling really is most people's entry level into the FBA game or reselling and stuff like that, because you can get them so cheap. So for a long time, my main source and strategies just included going to Salvation Army, Value Village, whatever, and find a profitable product that way. But then it became an issue of my margins were good, healthy 30% margins. But if you're not going to have a huge volume, you can still make a good profit, but you got to get better margins. So what I needed was to have better margins. So I just went on this long kind of journey of how I can improve my margins. And the best way I knew how to do that was to bring down my cost of goods. But I was just going to retail stores, and it's very hard to bring down your cost of goods at a retail store because they are what they are. There's little things you can do, like there's couponing and stuff like that. But I just started doing whatever I could to get books. So just one sec here. So one of the things that I did is I started like a website for used book donations. And I got a lot of donations through there. So I would run ads, for an example, for just like the city I live in. I'd run an ad to my website. So anyone typing in like Halifax book donation or book donation, whatever, Nova Scotia, I would be a sponsored ad on there. So I started getting a bunch of donations in. So now my cost of goods is literally zero. So it doesn't get much better than that. And then I started figuring out where books, like where can I get, like where do all these books end up? There's so many books in the city. Everyone has like all the large bookstores. Where do they end up when their shelf life expires? So I went on a basic manhunt, and I sent emails and got on the phone, started calling people, started calling charities, everything, just anywhere I could think of that has books, if they had any pain points around volume. And I made some very good connections that way. And I figured very quickly that there's an insane amount of books that end up being recycled, garbage. So I'm basically, and a lot of companies pay somebody to come get their books. So now I can just go to these places and say, hey, I know you have a lot of overflow. Stop paying someone. I'll come get them for free. And that's kind of where I'm at now. And I can't give exact specifics, obviously, but that kind of thinking and strategy will definitely get you into the right state of mind to take it to the next level if that's what you want to do.
Okay, awesome. I wanted to say hi to Joe Dills that came in, and Joey says, say hello to all my customers on your route. Hey, customers at the post office. And I wanted to say hi to Leroy is here. He says, hey, Jeff, another great interview. Yeah, for sure. We have the Casual Flipper here is coming to us from Canada. So I have a question. In Canada, do you guys have like a dollar store there where you can buy books? 'Cause like here in the United States, we can go to the Dollar Tree and buy books for $1 and resell them. Have you experimented with that? Have you had any success with maybe going there and doing that? And when you get the books, do you sell some on eBay or do you ship them all into Amazon FBA? And go ahead and elaborate a little bit on that.
Well, the retail arbitrage game is just as strong in Canada as it is in the US. So I do sell some grocery stuff like that. So I'll go to the grocery store, you know, and I'll send it in Amazon, make great margins that way. So the like retail arbitrage is great in Canada as well. Dollar store hunting, I know that's something that Sir Flip a lot does a lot. It's doable here. I just my cost of goods now is less than $1, so I don't, you know, exploit that opportunity very often, and it's kind of a more of a trickier thing to scale. So it's very hard to scale that up when it just is. It requires me going into each and every store. But with that being said, I do enjoy the dollar store for quick flips in terms of like toys around Christmas. There's some very profitable stuff there. But the RA game is very good here in Canada as well.
Okay, cool. So now some of these books you get donated to you for free. I mean, you don't keep all of them. Some of them, do you redonate, or what do you do with the ones that aren't very profitable? Because even if you get them for free, if you mail them into Amazon, it costs money to mail them in. And, you know, they charge you storage fees to store the products, right? They charge you a pick and pack fees. So even if you get the merchandise for free and you ship it in, it's not like every book you ship into Amazon is profitable, right? I mean, there's some of them that you're just going to break even on. Some of them you may only make a quarter or 50 cents on, and it's not worth the time and effort to slap a barcode on them, box them up, ship them out, pay the storage fees. So explain a little bit about how that works.
No, you're absolutely right. So with that, I use an app called Skelly, and I've set up some triggers. And what these triggers do, it's an algorithm that you scan the barcode in, and if it meets a certain criteria that we've preset, it tells me to keep it. If it doesn't, it tells me to dish it. And it factors in all the fees based on a 1 month window. So, and then, yeah, we'll buy, like we have 12 pallets coming in, and we'll probably keep 10% of the book. So 90% of what we get, we're recycling it essentially. But with that being said, you know, one pallet might have 5 textbooks on it that's going to generate you $500 profit. So it doesn't take much to make a huge impact. And the more you send in, the more money you're making. But we have very stiff triggers. So we have a preset trigger set based on the sales rank, based on the profitability, based on how many sales in the last 6 months. So we're not really going in blind. You know, we have minimum profits we have to meet. So if it's only like a lot of guys when they're reselling books, they'll take the $1, $2 profits. We try to stay away from that because that does eat your margin. You know, you got a sticker, there's prep time involved with everything. So we're trying to get very granular with everything. So we've got minimum profits. We've got kind of all that sorted up. So like I said, there does, which is what we call them, there's a lot of them. So we only really give about 10% of what we get in. And the real game is, how do you monetize those duds? If we're recycling thousands of books every month, how can we start to monetize these in a time efficient way? And that's the secret sauce, really, which we haven't got to yet because we're limited for space and stuff like that. But that's kind of the next move for sure.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was just wondering like what you did with them. If you like donated them, or if you burned the books. I'm joking. Or if maybe you thought about maybe having like a big lot of books. Maybe you sell 50 or 100 books at one time, maybe on eBay.
Something
because
like that. Yeah.
Then that way you would only have to pay media mail shipping, and media mail shipping is like, I don't know in Canada, but in the States it's very, very, very minimal. So what is your minimum threshold when you're going to ship in books to Amazon? Do you just say I need to make $5, $10, $2? Like, what's your minimum threshold to say, okay, it's worth it for me to send in this book, and the other ones is going to be the dud pile? Like, how do you go about? And then also you have a sales rank. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so the two go hand to hand. So you position that question very well. So we've kind of set up in stages. So based on the sales rank, so Amazon has a sales rank from one to infinite, really. Number one sells the best, infinite sells the worst. So in Canada, used books, we try to stick within 550K and better ish, give or take. But what that means is, any book within the first 100K is pretty basically a guaranteed sell. Like this book sells a lot per month. So our profit threshold on those can be a little bit less because the chances of paying any storage fees or anything like that are pretty low. But not only that, you can actually typically raise your price a little bit on these because the bottom feeders are the people that are just dropping their drawers on it. They're going to sell out very quickly, leaving the other guys to make some money with more patience. So it's really based on the rank. There's maybe 12 stages of it. But as the sales rank gets worse, so the book does not sell as often, our profits become larger because we're taking on more risk, which means there needs to be a higher reward. So basically how we have it set up is the better the book sells, the less profit we really are looking for. But as that sales rank gets worse or larger, we want more profit. But really to start, since we're buying these pallets, we own the book anyway, our profit, we might accept $2 minimum. But if you're in a store and your source and your cost of goods is higher, like Value Village, it's $4 per book. If we're tying up $4 on each and every book, it adds up very quickly. We want more profit when that item sells because the risk we're taking on is we're tying up this cash. And when you're a small business, cash is essential, cash is king. You don't want to tie up cash. So it really comes down to where it's sourced from and sales rank are kind of the key things.
Okay, awesome. I wanted to say hi to Buffalo Picker is here in the chat. Philly Picker is here. We have Wonder Woman is here hanging out with us. Says hi. We have Red Dirt Picker asked a question. He says, is there a certain type of books that is higher margins? He says some of the textbooks and medical books, but I was wondering if there's others to keep a lookout on. So is there certain particular books that you know of where you're like, I'm going to gravitate towards this certain books? Like if I walked into a thrift store, let's say, and I'm looking for books, what category? Should we look for fiction, nonfiction? Like what area should we start off in first?
Well, they nailed it with textbooks. Nailed it. Like you see textbooks, go right there. Medical books specifically. So they obviously know what they're talking about because they nailed those. Are like medical and textbooks are really, really great. But it really, with that being said, those are the easy ones to kind of seek out. But we found a book today on the Beatles. It just talks about the years of Beatles, all kinds of, not like actual physical bug Beatles, but like the band the Beatles. It's all about them. And this thing had $60 profit in it. We have a book here. I'll show you. Like this thing here. This is like a $300 book, and this is about marketing. So educational stuff. Not like mass printed novels tend not to be that super great. And it also, you have to ask yourself what kind of game you're in, because there's a lot of vintage books that are valuable, but we're not in the game of waiting around for stuff to sell. We're in a volume based game. So we're selling quick move-in, lower profit kind of stuff is kind of our strategy. But like I said, textbooks and medical are really good, and a lot of reference. Things that are a reference, like how to play guitar, how to do this, that, or whatever. Study guides, stuff like that are definitely the things to go to. Educational stuff seems to be very well. And sometimes, not to the same extent, but lifestyle, personal development, you can get some decent margins, not like textbook stuff.
Okay, well, I was told to stay away from the fiction books. Are those still profitable or no?
Not as a general rule, I probably wouldn't go after them. There's a few you'll come across. There's a decent amount, but if you're sourcing at a store, that would be the last section I would go to.
Okay, cool. I wanted to say hi to Twin Flippers is here. I wanted to say hi to Aces. And Hollywood Reseller says, do you mainly concentrate on books? Do you sell other items besides books, or is books basically your bread and butter?
Well, so when I first started on Amazon, I'm selling everything. If it's sold, I was buying it. So grocery, toys, I got engaged in everything, topicals, like everything. But I was also doing books. And we'll answer your question simply, yes, books is where I focus, but I'll tell you the why behind it. And as I would go through my profit and loss statement and looking at my inventory, my top 10% of what was profitable every month was books because of that cost of goods. The biggest issue with it was the scalability of it. That's what stops people, is they can't scale it, to a huge thing, because it takes real work and you gotta get creative. So I thought, if I can scale this thing, this could be friggin' really interesting. So books is where I focused. So to answer your question simply, yes, but I do dabble in other categories. I'm pretty much ungated and everything now, but books is definitely the main focus, just because the margins and the ROIs are just so crazy, and the competition factor. We get 1 or 2 listens of each and every book. We're not really competing with anybody ever, which is super, super nice.
Oh, okay, cool. Joey Bada Bing, he wanted to ask you a question. He wants to know, do you dress casual when you go to the thrift store?
I do. So that's kind of how the name has shifted. I used to be casual, flipping, but now I dress casually while I'm flipping.
Okay, right now you can dress casually at your house too, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, Drew said a question. He says, "Can you get me Tom Brady's autograph after the interview?" Well, actually, I left the Tampa Bay Stadium already. I'm just kind of like the errand boy for him. So basically, a lot of the teams in Tampa, they have to go and get they have to get tested before they can take the field. And Tampa Bay just won a game against the Packers yesterday. So in order for them to advance to the Super Bowl, every day all the players and coaches and even the referees, everybody has to get tested. And also we do that for the Toronto Raptors as well. So no, I didn't actually see Tom Brady, and even if I did see him, I couldn't come up to him and be like, "Hey man, can I get a picture on Instagram? Can I get an autograph?" Like I'm just there to deliver like blood samples and saliva samples to the lab so they can get tested to play the game. But yeah, I left already, and I'm on the way to do a delivery for the Buccaneers. So I had some, and you also said that you sell on eBay as well. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So really things started scaling up for me March, April, May. That's when I started taking it more seriously. But it wasn't until October that I really got my first good partner that could supply me with a mass quantity of books. So presently I have maybe 3,000 listings on Amazon right now. Keeping in mind, like we sent in 1,700 this month, but like units sold, we're probably going to sell 700 books this month. So growing the inventory, so that's a good thing though. It means that we're sending in the right stuff, because if your inventory is growing quicker than your sales, that's not something that you really want, because you're paying storage fees and stuff like that. So, we're looking at about 3,000 listings, but we will grow it because we're sending in so much stuff. Like next month, our goal is to send in 4,000 books, which is a huge, silly number per month, and do that over a year. Like it's crazy. Amazon, and for eBay, sometimes I cross list with Joe Lister. So certain books we might list it on Amazon and eBay, and then if it sells on eBay, Amazon will fulfill it for us, because shipping in Canada is outrageous. It's extremely expensive. Just to get a tracker on an item is $7 on top of the shipping cost. So merchant fulfilled in Canada is doable. You just got to have very healthy margins. And I currently have one listed on eBay right now. It's just a hockey card, because I'm focusing FBA and cards. Like I like to buy the tins and open them. They're hard to get right now, so I haven't been able to sell a whole lot. But every card I do get, it sells quick.
Okay, now I got a question. You said you're going to do 4,000 a month. That's like 1,000 books a week. Is that doable if somebody is just getting started and reselling books and shipping them off to Amazon FBA? Is that possible?
No.
Is that doable for the average person? What would they need to do in order? I'm just curious, because I haven't sold books in the past. Can you explain how your processes are set up that allows you to do that?
Oh, for sure. It's like I was starting like anybody else. I used to fill one box a week, and it was exciting. It was like 25 books. So when you're first starting, you're probably going to be somewhere in that range, 25 a week, 100 a month. Normal. You can make reasonably good money doing that. It's a side income. You could probably make $1,000 a month kind of doing it on the side pretty easy without putting a lot of effort into it, really. The longest part would be the educational piece, learning how it all works. To get to this point, if you're in like metropolitan city and you're in an apartment, you would have to get very creative. I'm lucky in the sense that I'm in the suburbs, so I do have that space. Because space is everything. Space is everything. Without the space, you're dead in the water. You need to rent a little part of a warehouse or something. But there's always ways. The average person could do it, but it would take a lot of time and research, and it would be a real racket. And so, if you really want to do it, I honestly would recommend to message me or reach out to me, and we can kind of work together, and you can ask me questions, stuff like that, because it's not a one size fits all. This isn't something that I could repackage and sell at this point, because it depends on so many different things, like where you're at, how the competition is, potential suppliers. Like there'd be a lot of kind of factors into it, but you can make good money reselling books, and it wouldn't be overly difficult for you. It would be far-fetched to think you could do 1,000 a month right off the bat. Like it took me a year of learning to get to this point.
Okay, now how much money could someone make if they wanted to start doing this business, even if they just wanted to do it part-time? And let's say they send in a shipment once a month or once every 2 weeks, and they wanted to start sending in books to Amazon FBA. How much, like, what kind of profit margins? What is the sell-through rate, and what kind of money could they make? Like, just because I know it varies from book to book, but let's say I send a shipment in of 50 books. What kind of margins would I make? Because the thing is, you have your cost of goods, you have your Amazon fees or pick and pack fees, storage fees, and then you have your profit margins, which may be 25, 30, 40%, somewhere in that range, right?
Yeah. So on
average,
there? Ish, you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
On average, like, there's extremes, obviously. But like on average, you can expect roughly $7 profit per book. So 50 books, you're looking at about $350 a month, and that's after everything. And the thing to remember is that's using like my exact strategy. You might go in and you might only source extremely high profit books, so that would change that number, obviously. And the other thing to remember is with books, it's a long game. So all the work we're doing right now, we actually won't reap those benefits for a month or two, because the books, they get checked in and things don't always sell right away. Like they all take time. The real magic is when things have compounded. So when you've done a year worth of work, or 6 months, or 3 months is the best window. If you work hard for 3 months part-time, you start to reap the rewards, because you've compounded all these shipments. There's lots of stuff there, and now everything's starting to sell. If you do one shipment, say you get 50 books in it, like you might sell your first book the first day, and the last one might sell in a year from now. So the real magic is being consistent, being disciplined, and sending in each and every week, and trying not to get discouraged.
Okay, so you're saying is don't expect, like, if you're making $7 profit on a book, it's not like, hey, I sent in 10 books, so now I've got thousands of dollars. You make $7 a book and you send in 10 books, it would be like $70. And so it sounds like the key is you're just going to have to keep reinvesting your money into buying more merchandise, and then slowly through compounded shipments, your inventory is going to grow. Is that correct?
That's the secret sauce. That's how my business is where it's at now. And it's taken me a year of growing it to get to a point where we can be full time. But that's just my strategy. Like you might have a different strategy where, like, I, in theory, could just decide, I'm only going to buy books here that are like $80, $90 profits. If you send 10 of those in, obviously you're making a lot more money, but are they always going to be there? There's a lot of variables there, right? So on average, you're going to $7, if you're not being super picky, is reasonable.
I think that's reasonable. I mean, if you're making $7 average per book, because some of them may be $5, some of them may be $10, $12, $15, but you're just giving us you're just giving us an average number. So I wanted to say hi to Megan Jordan, is in the chat hanging out with us. We got the Hollywood reseller. He says, can you tell us about your worst buy that you ever made, and what did you get and what happened?
Well, I'm pretty risk adverse. So far I haven't made any crazy ones. The worst purchase I've made to date was on a lot of DVDs. When I was trying to go really ramp up, I was really excited, I guess. And I found a lot of it was something like 1,000 or 1,500 DVDs for $800, all brand new condition. But it was like a blind purchase, so it like you didn't know what was in there, so it was like a mixed lot. But I purchased from them before, and everything was amazing. So I thought it was going to be a similar thing. So it's $800, which some people that's not a lot of money. For me, that was a lot of money at the time, and that was 6 months ago, and we've made back about 300, maybe 400 of it. So we tied up a lot of capital, and we didn't really get a whole lot from it. So that was probably my worst one to date, and it was a decision that was made emotionally and not really off numbers, which is the ones that are going to kill you if you are saying, I feel like this is going to be good, and you don't have concrete evidence, or at least, a good hypothesis. Those are ones that burn you. But I think that probably, and over the holidays, I made some bad buys on toys that hadn't moved. But really, that was probably the worst for $800.
Well, yeah, but $800 divided by what, 1,500 items, and you said they were new, so your buy cost was what, a little over 50 cents a piece? So you could still, I mean, it would take a while, but you could still list them on eBay and they'll sell. It's not going to happen, overnight. But I mean, you could still recoup your $800 that when you're buying items for 50 cents a piece. I'm just saying there's still margins there where you can recoup your money out of that deal.
Totally. No, totally agree.
We have a question here
I'll probably get it back over time.
Yeah, it just may take a while if you sell them off individually. We got Twin Flippers here. He says he was about to ask, what is the shelf life on books? Like, what can first of all, you have storage fees at the Amazon FBA warehouse, right? But what's like the shelf life on some of these books that you have?
So we're constantly looking at this kind of stuff to see what's best, because maybe the right answer is 2 years, maybe it's 3 years, maybe it's 1 year. So when I think of shelf life, basically what I take by that is how long do you hold on to a book before you discard it or get rid of it or drop your drawers on it to get rid of it. We're working on a 1 year window, and the reason for that is it allows the product to go through each season. So if you're doing 6 months and then you get a Christmas book and it doesn't make it to Christmas, you're probably not going to get that sale, or at least close to. So we're working on a 1 year window for inventory in and out. We have it automatically set up, so once that book hits a year, they dispose of it. And there's a small fee there, but that's one of the reasons why we have criteria that each book needs to make, is that if it sits there for 11 months and collects storage fees, when it sells, we need to make our profit. So we need to pay for those fees, and we need to still make a few bucks. So that kind of all gets factored into it. But we're working on, to answer the question, we're working on a 12-month kind of window for books.
Yeah, but that kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier with the sales rank of the book, and that way you can kind of get an idea of what the sales velocity is on certain books, like how quickly some of them will sell, and some of them are going to be long tail books, but maybe you'll make more profit on those, right?
Exactly, totally. Exactly.
I wanted to say. Yeah, we have Thrifting After Work says, books always seem daunting. Every time I see a wall at the store, I don't want to go back and look at them. I understand. I'm not a really big bookseller either, but it's okay to kind of learn other niches and other markets so you can keep your eyes out for them when you're out looking, right? I wanted to say hi to Lewis. Sir Flipsalot is here. We were actually just talking about you. So
yeah, the legend.
we got a Twin Flipper says it takes patience for books. I'll be trying, but I don't know what to look for. And then I wanted to say hi to Gravity Goods here. He says, smash the thumbs up. Hey, thanks for coming by, Gravity Goods. I hope you're doing well. I was just checking on you to see how you were feeling. He just had surgery recently, I think, on his arm. So I hope you're feeling well. So what kind of give us things that we need to look for when we're looking at these different looking for books, because you said you get a lot of your books donated to you for free. But if I was out somewhere, if I was at the Dollar Tree or I was at a thrift store, how do I know like what books are good and which ones aren't? Like you got to go and scan them, right?
Yeah. So you need your app, whatever one you're using. In the States, I know there's a variety of options. Here, we basically just have one to use. It's called Scoutly. So if you have that, I think it's like $10 or $15 a month is what I pay. And you have your trigger set up. So that's the algorithm the app uses to tell you if it's a buy or not. It's literally just, I put in a good podcast, something educational or some music, and I start at one section. I scan each and every book. do. But you get into the zone. You know what I'm saying? I'm not like, I'm looking at the phone and the graphs and stuff, but really it's just like, I'm just vibing to whatever I'm doing and going through each and every one. And you're going to get, sometimes you do a stretch, you don't find anything, and it's a little frustrating, but you see that green and you hear that cha-ching, and it's like, it like pumps you up. And you're like, okay, let's go. And you keep kind of scanning. But the thing that gets me fired up though is like, I know a lot of people don't want to go there and scan each and every book. So when I'm scanning, I think about that, like, oh, I'm putting in the extra work. So that kind of how I motivate myself, because it's just such a hustle, and I love that about it. But if you don't have a lot of time and you just want to scan quick, just go to the reference section, in my opinion. Like if there's like textbooks, like the medical books, like textbooks, that kind of stuff, anything educational would be the quick way just to run in, scan a few, and then dip out without really spending a lot of time there.
Okay, awesome. I have a few questions for you. What app exactly do you use to scan the barcodes in? Do you use and also do you use Inventory Lab? Like, talk to me a little bit about the apps that you use when you're scanning the barcodes.
I would use Inventory Labs if it was available. I've been reading for a long time that it's going to release in Canada, but as far as I know, that's yet to happen. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I do want to get on Inventory Labs. But the app I use is called Scoutly, and it comes with Turbo Lister. And Turbo Lister allows you to list books very quickly on Amazon, and it gives you all the pricing. So Turbo Lister is phenomenal. It makes listing very, very quick. And then Scoutly is the app that I scan into, and I also have if I have it here, I got like a Bluetooth scanner, a little Bluetooth scanner, so I scan the barcodes, and the app makes a noise if it's a buy or not. So I don't even need my phone. I got my AirPods in, phone's in my pocket. I'm just scanning the barcodes, and I'm waiting for the proper noise. So Scoutly, right. AirPods, Bluetooth scanner, really all you need.
Do you have Scout IQ up there in Canada or no?
No.
Okay. And so what he was saying is, when you have this scanning app, you can tell the app what kind of profit margins you're looking for. You can say, okay, I'm looking for this much profit margin, and I'm looking for this certain sales rank. And then it will like say ka-ching, or it'll do something. It'll pop up green on your screen on your phone, so you know which ones are good and which ones aren't, correct?
No, exactly. So you can, you said they're called profit triggers, and I do have a video setting them up if anyone's interested, if they're looking at that. But basically you can say, okay, my very first trigger is going to be from best selling book 1 down to worst selling book, or book 1 to 10,000. If the book falls within 1 and 10,000 sales rank, I want at least $4 profit. So if you send a book and it's ranked 5 and it's got $10 profit, boom, ching, that's a buy.
And you would just put it in the cart and keep going, keep moving.
Yep.
Okay, Red Dirt Picker says, is there a website or an app that has vintage books? Because some of the books don't have barcodes on them, correct?
Yeah, a lot of them don't. But they'll still have like an IBSN, which is like, it's like an identifier for books. I don't know exactly the year they started making those, IBSN, but it's an identifier for books. I mean, I've seen them at least in the 70s and onwards. You put that in Amazon, it'll come up for sure, no problem. But if it doesn't have any of that, you can actually use the Amazon seller app, and there's a little camera icon in the right corner, and it'll scan the front of the book to try to find the cover. So that's the method I've used. Or you take a photo of it, and then in Google Photos, you can like reverse search it. And that's another way. So reverse searching and Amazon seller app is what I use if I can't find the IBSN or barcode.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, Sir Flips a lot is here. He says textbooks are great and books are the best way to start on Amazon. So talk to me a little bit about can you give somebody maybe 3 or 4 tips that would help them get started in reselling on Amazon, reselling books? Do you have two or three tips that will maybe help somebody get started, or maybe tips or tricks to help them scale their business? Because this is your full-time job. And so if you can do this full-time, there's no reason that someone can't do it part-time, maybe, 10, 15, 20 hours a week part-time, and make some money on the side, right?
Oh, definitely. And I know people locally that are doing it part-time, and they're having fun with it. Like the tricky part, I guess, is when you're very first getting started is you're going to have to put a little bit of money up front to really get efficient. You don't have to put some money up front, but it's better to if you can. And that's something that a lot of people don't want to do. But the reason I say that is this app I use, Skelly, it only works if you have a professional seller account. It links. So if you don't have an Amazon seller account, you can't use Skelly. And that means that sourcing is going to be very tedious and painful, and that's not painting a real picture of what it's like. So what happens is a lot of people start, they don't want to pay any money, they just want to try it, and what happens is sourcing becomes tedious, painful, it takes a long time, and then they give up because it's too hard. So what I recommend is, you get the Seller Central account. If you do the professional, it's like $30 a month, I think, but that's not like, you can also do it individual, which means that you're going to pay $1 per sale. So you can either pay $1 per sale or waive that $1 and just pay $40 for the month. So I know some logistics there, but once you get your Seller Central set up, the real cost comes in the fact that the app is like $15 a month, and the barcode reader, like the Bluetooth dongle, is like $40. So if you can start with like $60, it's gonna make sourcing so much easier for you. So that is kind of what I would stress, is just to try to make it easy on yourself. This doesn't have to be a really cumbersome, scary, overwhelming thing. You get the app, you get the barcode scanner, and you just go and scan books. Just get the inventory, right? There's a lot of analysis paralysis involved in this, where people just do all the research, but they don't actually take any action on it. So I would just recommend just go get the books. Just go get the books, and once you get the books, you'll figure the other stuff out. But really, it's just a matter of doing it.
Okay, yeah. Sir Flips a lot is here. He says, "Can you download the database in Canada? They don't have one in Germany."
Yes. So I think you're referring to like the offline database. So that I can, but I don't pay for that feature because I don't actually really need it yet. If there's a need for it, I'll pay for it. But that's a level of the subscription that I'm not subscribed to. I have like the light version. I have multiple accounts on it, but I just do have the light. So that is an option here in Canada, but I don't utilize it. And yeah.
Okay, I had a question. So you found some items that are profitable. How do you go about, because some of these books you have to like print off barcodes to like cover up the other barcode when you ship them into Amazon FBA as well, right? So do you need a scan gun at the house? Do you need to have a label printer to print off the Amazon FBA like labels, or do you just ship them into the warehouse without putting the stickers on them? Can you explain how that works?
Yeah, so there's two options you have in this regard. One, you can pay Amazon. I don't know what they charge. I've never done it, but you can pay them to label it for you. You just find the book, ship it in, they'll label it, whatever. It's going to cost you a lot more money than it's doing it yourself. So if you have time, I would probably recommend you label it yourself. And there's a few ways. If you have a printer, you can simply buy like label paper. It's just regular paper like this, just paper. You put that in your printer. They give you a page of printout. You print it and you just label each book one at a time. So it's very straightforward. You just print off the PDF that they give you. It tells you the title of the book. You pop it on the back. Now what I use is a program called Turbo Lister. If you're starting, you wouldn't use it. You would just use the Amazon Seller app. But this allows me to use a Dymo printer, which is like a label printer. So as soon as I list the book, it prints the label for me. So it's like a very quick, fluid kind of thing. But when you're starting, all you need is a printer and label paper, which you can find the specifics of that easily online. But just a printer is really all you need.
Okay, cool. Lewis asked a question. He says, "What percentage of good books do you get from the Gaylord? Like, if you get a whole Gaylord of books, let's say hypothetically, what percentage of them are duds versus what percentage of them are good? Is it 50-50? I mean, what's the odds of that?"
Well, that's going to be different for everybody. Mine might be different than yours, but I can give you what I'm working with. So my first few pallets, it was like 10%. So I was very strict triggers. And then I started thinking about it. Geez, I might be missing out on a lot of opportunities. Maybe I should reconsider these. Tweaked them a little bit, and now I'm at about like 22% acceptance rate. So we're keeping, I'd say, roughly 20% of the pallet, and we're recycling literally 80% of it. It's just going back to recycling. So, like I said earlier, that's the opportunity, is monetizing those duds, which we're going to do. But yeah, it's 20%, give or take.
Okay, awesome. Now, I had a few questions. Do you have any suggestions or recommendations to help people, or that maybe they could get books or get items that they can resell at a discount? Maybe get them from a wholesaler, or maybe get them for free. Because you said that you get items for free donated to you. Do you have like any tips or tricks that would help them get started? Because you said when you first got started, you were kind of like, you know, a small fish in a big ocean trying to figure this out. Like, okay, where do I get these products from? How do I get the ball rolling and get this moving?
I'd say the first thing I did that anyone could do was I made an ad that accepted used books, and I just had it on Kijiji, and it was just a free thing. I threw it there, and it worked. Especially if you do that in springtime, like people are trying to get rid of stuff, and if you can offer some kind of thing or some kind of nuance that no one else is doing, like you'll pick them up. Not a lot of people are picking up used books. A lot of people have to load them in the car, drive them down to the donation place, whatever. So if you can come at an angle and say, hey, I'll take your books for free, you don't got to leave your house, that's a great service you can offer. So accepting used donations, and if you can pick them up, super nice. That's something anyone can do, and you get free books that way. But like I said, maybe you do 3 pickups and they're all garbage. That's just the name of the game. You will find one that's full of gold, and it'll all be worthwhile. But so you could do your own donations. You could look at Facebook Marketplace, Kijiji for free books. That's another gold mine. And then there are websites like Book Depot and Book Outlet where you can buy super cheap books in bulk. But typically those big places you can buy bulk from are also selling on Amazon, and they have thousands of reviews, and you're not going to have much success competing against them.
Yeah. All right. Well, when you're first getting started, it is okay maybe to send in some books that you're not going to make a bunch of profit on, just so that way you can go ahead and get some positive feedback on your account. Would you recommend doing that? Maybe if you're just getting started, saying, hey, I want to get some items to get positive feedback, so I'm going to send in some of these items that maybe are lower profit dollar items, but I just want to get feedback. I just want to get the thing rolling. Is that a good thing to do or no?
I wouldn't for books. Maybe send in some other grocery item or something. Last thing you want to do is start, because books aren't guaranteed. Like, they don't, like, you might send in a bunch of books for reviews and they don't move, and now you're putting yourself in a position where you have all these liabilities each month in terms of storage fees and whatever. So I'd recommend, if you are looking to get reviews, get an autoresponder. So I use Sellerboard, and I really leverage the fact that I'm a small business, started out of COVID. So I send them an email after each sale. Hey, I'm from Halifax, Nova Scotia, and I kind of describe who I am, what I do. If you left a review, it really helped me take on the bigger sellers. And so you're kind of personalizing it. They're, by leaving you a review, they're kind of like fighting for the little guy type of thing. So an autoresponder is a very good thing to have. But if you're trying to go with that kind of strategy of just sending a cheaper item in, I'll look at some grocery stuff to do that, because with books, it could get a little mucky in terms of your cash flow and stuff like that.
Okay, awesome. Now, I want you to tell people where they can find you at on YouTube and Instagram, and I want you to talk a little bit about your podcast, because I did some research that you started a podcast recently. So go ahead and give yourself a plug, and then tell people about your new podcast, your YouTube channel, Instagram, all of that.
Yeah, so Instagram is kind of, I'd say, my main platform. YouTube is where I'm growing probably the quickest, and I'm trying to put more focus there. So if you go on Instagram or YouTube, it's The Causual Flipper. I try to stay active. I try to reply to everybody. And, I try to do some mutual beneficial things where we kind of learn from each other, because everyone has their own kind of angle in that sense. So Instagram and YouTube are kind of my most active, and Twitter. If on Twitter, it's Causual Flipper -V. The podcast, you can probably guess what that's called, The Causual Flipper Podcast. Spotify, it's around all the major platforms. it started out with me just kind of talking, and then I went on a spree where I interviewed a bunch of resellers. So Sir Flips a lot was on the podcast. That was a really great episode, very, very good. And then I also had like the Happy Hustlers, and I've had some just Amazon Lit. So I've had some good guys on the podcast. So I think there's some value there for sure.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I wanted to say hi to Wendy is here in the chat hanging out. She says, hi, everybody. And we had a question from Sir Flips a lot. He says, what do you think is the most important tool or app that you use for your business?
I would say Google Sheets and Seller Board. Most important by far, because it allows me to collect the data I need to make better decisions. If you're not using Seller Board and some kind of spreadsheet to track your data and custom SKUs, you probably don't really know what's happening in your business, and it's hard to pivot and make better decisions without data. So I love my spreadsheets and my tool Seller Board and the custom SKUs I use in correlation, because Seller Board is nothing without the custom SKUs. So you need to have custom SKUs. So that kind of combination gives us the information required to make good decisions.
Okay. Awesome. I wanted to say hi to Volkswagen Planet. It says hit the thumbs up button. So, hey, man, give me your final thoughts, man, and talk a little bit about your final thoughts, and we'll let you go.
Yeah, for sure. I just wanted to thank everyone for stopping by. I appreciate your time. I know everyone's busy, and take the time to stop by, listen to us. We both appreciate it a lot. I'd love to hear from you guys. If anyone thought this was interesting, definitely message me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, like wherever. We'll get into a dialogue, and if you have any questions, I would love to answer them. So reach out if this interests you at all, the whole book selling game.
Yeah, for sure. I got your YouTube and Instagram and everything is linked in the description. So hopefully they'll come by and check you out, man. And it was great hanging out with you today. I wanted to thank everybody in the chat for hanging out with me today too. We appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys on the next one. So hey, thanks the Casual Flipper for coming and hanging out with me today, man. I appreciate you. Have a great day.
Thanks for having me. All right.
All right. Bye.